Good morning. So the last couple weeks I've been focusing on the D part of the leadership dance. D is development of self and others. And this is really important to look at. I talked about all sorts of different areas for development. Getting a personal coach, someone who can help you with your leadership, a leadership coach, doing classes online, taking classes in person, finding retreats, doing half-day workshops, going to conferences, reading books, so many different areas for development. And the next the dance acronym, A for action. It's great if we can find all of these different ways to develop ourselves so that we can develop others more effectively. That's awesome. But the problem is we'll go to workshops and get all excited, and then we come home and 3 days later we're back in our routine and we don't even put any of those steps into place. We do no implementation. But we say, wow, that was a great workshop, or that was an awesome conference, or I love that class. Great. We don't shift into action very easily or readily. It's something that we should do, but we don't always do it. So it's really important to realize that doing those things is part of the whole process. Knowing what to do is the first step. It's that whole awareness piece. So one of the things I want to talk about today is in the action piece is what holds us back. I'm going to review some of these different principles and concepts over the next couple weeks, but the one I want to talk about today is your inner critic. I always kind of look at the inner critic as just a little person who sits on your shoulder. It's the little you that's always talking in your ear, that's saying things about how you are not enough, how you're not good enough. You're not smart enough, you don't know what you're doing, you're too focused on trying to live up to what everybody else is expecting, and so it brings you down. And I know everybody can give examples where your little critic jumped right on in when you were in a situation where you thought, oh, I got this, and then all of a sudden the little voice in your head says, no, you don't. What are you thinking? You're not smart enough, or you don't have all the information to make this decision, or I don't know why you would even think that you could possibly do that. The inner critic takes on many forms. And again, unfortunately, we all experience it. The challenge is trying to figure out how to overcome that. And that's where actually finding support, maybe working with a coach, or even going to counseling if there's some issues from your past that seem to be holding you back and that keep repeating those thoughts, that the pattern of thoughts, it's helpful to go just dig into that stuff and let it go and finally deal with it once and for all. And if I look back at all the counseling clients I've had, mediation sessions, leadership clients that I've worked with, we find that these issues where we're stuck go back quite a ways. And oftentimes they even go back to childhood. I can think of my own examples when people said different things to me when I was a kid, maybe in elementary or middle school, and I have not forgotten those things. And they were things about not being good enough. You're not strong enough. You're not smart enough. You don't know what you're doing. And that stuff kind of sticks inside of us. So dealing with the inner critic is really critical and really important to be able to push ahead. So the challenge again is we know what to do to develop ourselves, which helps others as a leader, but we also need to take the action. And so figuring out ways to dive in and deal with that inner critic so that, again, you can finally just make some peace with it, let it go, and start changing your messaging over from I'm not smart enough to I'm totally smart. I'm intelligent. I know how to do this, and if I don't know how to do this, I will figure it out, and I will go find the answers, and I will be able to do this. So it's how we talk to ourselves. The self-talk is really important for pushing that little inner critic off of our shoulder and being able to move forward in positive, healthy ways. So the first piece of the action step that I'm going to mention today is the inner critic. So think about what are the messages that you are still telling yourself that bring you down. Jot them down. I'm a big fan of writing things out because sometimes we don't realize how much is swirling in our head and in our hearts until we write it down. Grab a piece of paper, get your journal, write out all those messages that you have had your entire lifetime, whether people said things to you that you internalize or you've just imposed on yourself. And then think about how are they holding you back or impacting you. And again, as a leader, we need to clear all of that out because other people are also dealing with the same thing, and we're not going to be able to help them unless we clear out our own stuff. So with that, look at your inner critic. I want you to think about that this week. Focus on what are those messages that still infiltrate, that impact your decisions. Write them down. And again, there's lots of ways we can work together. As a coach, I can help you looking at, again, books and other ways of development, but finding ways where you can really put some of these inner critic messages to rest so that they're not holding you back. Go out and make it a great day, and I will see you again.